I'm back again, as I said I would yesterday. Because yesterday I had that second moto lesson, and holy shit, still just as fun as ever, and I just can't get enough of it. If I had a bike, I mean, I'd be out there right now, right up at the crack of dawn, because man, oh man, is it fun. Yeah, so yesterday we practiced a few things actually, some quote unquote tougher things, but I just found them super fun. A little frustrating when you get it wrong. And I guess there's a bit of a fine line for most people as to what is like extremely rewarding and fun and what is frustrating when you get just a little bit wrong, especially if you've been getting it right a lot. But I mean, that's the beauty of practicing new skills. You know, it's so rewarding when you get it right, but man, oh man, you're going to get it wrong a lot. And sometimes you're going to get it very wrong. So what are these skills you practiced, Chris? Well, let me take a sip of my water first. So we practiced how to gear shift, which meant we got to go a little bit faster. Because on day one, we were just screaming the bikes in first gear all the way up to like 20, 25 kilometers an hour. Which is slow, but like in a small parking lot on a crazy loud machine that you've never rode before, you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, that's pretty fast. So then yesterday, we got up to like 30, 35. I think maybe I got up to like 40 or 50. When I was really pushing it into third gear. And keep in mind, these are small bikes. I mean, I was riding a 125cc tiny little sports bike replica. Yeah, but they still feel so fast. I mean, like, what I have to compare to is my Volkswagen Jetta TDI, which, you know, it's not a very fast car. It's made to be like purely efficient and just crank out highway kilometers. Or my road bike, which is fast for a bike, like a bicycle kind of bike. But I mean, it's nothing compared to a motorcycle. Those things are freaking quick. They're so quick, especially when they're light. And I'm a light guy too. I mean, they just take off the line. Like, it's insane. It's actually insanity. So yeah, we were putting along in our little tiny bikes at like 30 kilometers an hour in second gear, and it just felt so exhilarating. And then we started practicing some other techniques, counter steering and counterbalancing. Because get this, and it might not seem very obvious to you at first, especially if you don't ride bikes a lot, or if you've never, you know, ridden a motorcycle, stuff like that. It's very counterintuitive. To steer left, you first have to push the handlebars right, and then that'll tip the wheel that way, and the bike will fall over, and then you turn into the turn. So you have to use gravity and like the gyroscopic effect to aid you through the corner. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It made sense to me intuitively because I ride my bicycle everywhere. So, you know, to steer, you have to push the opposite direction and, like I said, let yourself fall over and then steer into it to catch yourself. So it was very strange for some people in the class. They were just like mind blown. They're like, what? I'm pushing on this handlebar and I should be steering this way, but instead I'm tipping over and I ended up steering that way. So it was very cool. And they made this little slalom course for us to do kind of at speed, because this counter steering technique only works like when you're moving relatively fast. They say above 25, but I mean, you could kind of start feeling it at around 15, 20 kilometers an hour. So yeah, when you're going like 40, and they say when you're on the highway going 50, like you really have to push on that handlebar to get yourself to lean over. It takes some muscle, it takes some force. And I mean, that's what's just so exciting about riding bikes and motorcycles. You are part of the machine. It's not like you're a passenger. Like, let's say in a car, you open the door, you step inside, and you're not really part of it. You just kind of hang onto the steering wheel and you hope it goes where it goes. But you're really just a passenger of the car. On a motorcycle, I mean, you are one with it. You are just like glued to the seat, to the tank. You're like so connected to the machine and to the road. There's nothing in between. It's not like, I mean, cars nowadays, they use mostly electrical like controls. So like you have an electric steering wheel that powers an electric motor that steers your wheels. There's a disconnection. There's like a wire and there's no physical connection really. Some of them still have hydraulic. I mean, my car's older. It's 2009. So it's hydraulically powered. So there's kind of a connection there, but I mean, it's like muted, I would say. But on a motorcycle, it's literally just like handlebars straight to the wheel. They're just connected straight through the fork. So it's amazing. It's like an amazing raw feeling, if that makes sense. So yeah, we're zooming along in second or third gear if we dared to go that fast. And we're weaving through the slalom course and it's just so fun. I mean, flicking the bike side to side. You know, I push with my right arm, tips the bike over to the right, and then swoosh in, and then push with my left arm, swoosh left, and you get to lean into it. I mean, you're like leaning. Oh man, it's so fun. I like, holy shit. Then after that, once we mastered upshifting and downshifting, actually, goddamn, I gotta talk about the downshifting. I drive a manual car, almost always downshift when I come to a stop. I mean, it's fun, and it's also efficient on the brakes, because here's another thing in case you don't know. Like, when you release the throttle on a manual car, the engine uses the compression of each cylinder to kind of slow the car down. It's almost like it's sucking energy out of the wheels, I guess, if that makes sense. Without getting too technical or anything, you're using the engine to do the braking for you, and it feels great. And of course, it takes off some of the strain off your brakes, because it's the engine that's doing the braking. So yeah, but downshifting on a bike, where relative to the bike and to you, the engine is like gigantic. Because think about it, a car, you know, imagine your car's this big. The engine's just in the front. It's just this tiny little thing in the front. And then there's you who sits in there and your passenger, and the car's like that big. But a bike, it's like that big, and the engine is like that big. So there's almost no difference. The engine makes up a majority of a bike. So holy crap, does it brake hard under compression when you release the throttle. Especially when you downshift and when you rev match and you get it just right. And you just get, I mean, there's no feeling like it. There's really no feeling like it. It's such a delicate dance with the engine and the transmission and the tires and your body position. Man, it's amazing. And it's a full body experience. I mean, you are using everything. Using your left leg to control the shifter up and down. Your right leg controls the rear brake. Your left hand controls the clutch. Your right hand controls the front brake. Your arms control the steering. Your thighs grip the sides, and you can kind of shift your bum around a little bit if you really want to get intense. Your shoulders do a lot of the balancing. Your head's doing the looking. You're using everything all the time. So it's a very, very present way to like move. So anyways, getting on with these lessons, Now that we've mastered how to counterbalance, or counter steer, I mean, and weave through the slalom, we've mastered the shifting, upshifting, downshifting if you wanted to. Now we moved on to like the hardest thing ever, which is counterbalancing. At low speeds, the bike wants to fall over, and you can't use the gyroscopic effect of the wheels to keep it stable. It's just going to fall over. So what you have to do is literally let the bike fall kind of away from you, and you have to lean your way over onto the opposite side. So the bike might be leaning kind of like this, but you're still upright, or maybe even leaning a bit away. And so your bike is like balancing under you, turning, you're looking that way if you're turning left, and you're leaning away from the turn, and it's, again, just counterintuitive, but like, it makes sense, because the bike wants to fall over, so you have to counterbalance by leaning the other way. And when you nail it, this feels awesome, because you can get really sharp turns, like super, super sharp. Sharper than anything a car can do. I mean, a car can make a U-turn kind of like in 2 lanes. This can literally make a U-turn in like the span of a parking space if you really, really master it well and you get good at moving slow. But it's really hard to master because you're balancing this heavy, heavy machine. They're like 400 pounds using your body. And there's nothing to keep it up besides your own skill, your own balance, and maybe a little bit of steering input. But again, the lower the speed, the less importance the steering input is, the more importance is on your own body positioning and on your own balance. So it's just like the skill involved in riding these machines shocks me. You have to be so good, so precise, but smooth. Because if you're jerky, it's going to buck. And if you turn too fast, it's going to wobble and the wheel's going to slide and lock up and you're going to fall over. Boom, straight onto the ground if you make a mistake. It's like such a delicate dance, like I said, with such a powerful machine. And I'm saying powerful machine. I was on like the smallest bike possible. I don't think they make them much smaller than 125cc here in North America. It's like the smallest thing you could possibly get. Nobody even drives them because they're so weak and small. Like you probably can't even go on the highway. They might not even go fast enough to go on the highway. That's how weak and tiny they are. But like, as a beginner, it's almost too much. So, yeah. Man, just thinking about it gets me all excited, riled up. It's really something else. And I would suggest everyone try this in their lives. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. Maybe I've said this about other things before. Sure, try those things too. But like this, I mean, for real. For real. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm going to get on with my day and go look forward to next Tuesday, which is when I get to ride. And maybe go do some extra work, because, goddamn, I mean, like I said, motorcycle, fairly expensive. I don't really have a full-time job yet. I'm still, like, kind of a student and whatnot. But I want that motorcycle next spring, so I might go do a few extra shifts just to be able to afford a nice one that I can have for another 10, 20 years, whatever. Yeah. So I'll see you all next time.